Hello and welcome to yet another speech by me, Nick Steele, as you can tell by this. So, over here we have the wonderful audience, as well as the third audience member working the camera, my younger brother. So Tony, go ahead and let me know whenever I'm in frame and the presentation is in frame as well.
All right, we're ready.
All right, cool. So, I'm here to talk to you today about Robin Williams. Robin Williams was diagnosed with depression back in the 1980s, and it's not something you would have expected Robin Williams, of all people, to have. He was always smiling, he was always having a good time, he was always being himself and making us happy and laughing and everything. However, 6 years ago, he ended his own life due to depression, which is why today I'm here to talk to you about depression. Before we go into Williams himself, though, I want to talk to you generally about depression. So Williams was diagnosed with a particular kind of depression known as smiling depression, which is when the person is still happy around other people, but internally they're still suffering. So when I say depression, we all have our own image in our minds of what that kind of looks like. So it could be the quiet person who sits in the corner and never interacts with anybody, the shy kind of person, the introvert. Maybe it would even be something like I just described with smiling depression, the person who seems happy but internally isn't, but you would never imagine it to be him. Because everything he did, he was always smiling and he was always happy. According to Healthline, like I had said, Williams was diagnosed with smiling depression on top of having Parkinson's, which only worsened his condition. He originally got it, according to Wikipedia, when John Belushi had died back in the 1980s. But Parkinson's had only worsened it. So about back in 2017, according to Healthline, 2.7% of the population was diagnosed with depression. So that correlates to 264 million people. Williams was one of the people who was diagnosed with it, unfortunately for us. That's not to say he didn't have many pastimes, and he didn't have a lot of fun during his time. I mean, despite him being internally not happy, he still felt happiness outwardly and inwardly. So some of the things he had done to occupy himself outside of acting and whatnot include pen and paper role-playing games, including Dungeons and Dragons and the like. After that, we have Warhammer 40,000, surprisingly enough, though he only played during the early 1990s during the first edition. After that, he was a big comic book nerd as well, surprisingly enough. And most notably, he was a huge video game nut. Having done commercials for Nintendo for Ocarina of Time, he actually named his own daughter after the princess in the game, which is why her name is Zelda. Despite all of this, though, William still suffered from depression, which is not good. I mean, the fact that he ended his own life due to it is very heart-wrenching. To see somebody that happy just end their own lives like that. But despite all of it, he still made us happy. He made us happy in everything that he did. There was an article written that I think summarizes it very well. He inspired people and made them laugh in almost everything he did, whether it be a TV show, stand-up routine, comedy act, voiceover. Here's some of the things that he made us laugh. During his movie Patch Adams, where he played a doctor and helped cancer patients, or when he was the crazy old man in Jumanji. How about when he was the genie in Aladdin? That was probably his most notable role. And even when he was the teacher in the Dead Poets Society.
I love that movie.
He made us laugh. He made us smile, he inspired us, and he made us happy. I know a lot of people close friends of mine who deal with depression every day, and it's not easy for them sometimes. Some people are on medication for it, other people have to talk to therapists for it, or both. I'm not saying I know every answer to how to deal with depression. I don't have it myself, thankfully. But it's the small acts of just talking to somebody every day, whether they have it or not, if you can tell, because if you're talking to them and they have, for example, smiling depression like Williams, it's hard to pick up on. Just talking to them every day, asking them how their day was, stuff like that, that can definitely help them. To end on a quote from Williams, from Patch Adams actually, I think it summarizes it rather well. Here it is. If this means opening your door to those in need, to those in pain, then I am guilty as charged, sir. Every human being has an impact on one another, and that's what matters. That's why when you treat a disease, you win or you lose. There is no in between. But if you treat a person, I guarantee every time, you win no matter what.